Hey people, this is Mindful Talks podcast. Welcome to the 25th episode of #TechZGo. Developing a cross-platform automotive application is a task that calls for a blend of constant brainstorming, creative approaches, usability, niche, and the technology that is going to nurture the application throughout. Cross-platform applications are now one of the most or those like essential things that businesses have to conduct to help themselves merge with the trends that the market follows. But let's talk about the technical side of creating a cross-platform app. As we take a wide look, you also get to know how a particular programming languages goes well with its respective industry. Elaborating this statement, we thought of chatting with you about how Flutter is an ideal framework for the automotive industry. In order to justify the previous statement as well as the core aspect of this podcast, why don't we actually dig deeper into the concept of Flutter app development? Now the question is why BMW and Toyota chose Flutter for automotive app development. So BMW's merger with Flutter is a different story altogether. So all this while BMW's mobile app team prioritized the iOS version of their vehicle companion app, the BMW and MindInventory connected apps, yet in 2018, they discovered that the feature and design dissimilarities between the iOS and Android offerings had experienced and how. They urgently needed to get an optimal solution so that the apps offered the same functionality to all the consumers regardless of mobile OS, BMW and MindInventory brand without seriously inflating costs. So as it was a matter of making the app compatible and responsive for all the operative systems, so a cross-platform solution was evaluated, and the team initiated the analysis of finding out the best cross-platform frameworks, including Flutter. So in the beginning, the team was worried that Flutter was not yet mature enough for the scale at which BMW required to operate. So they designed various proofs of concepts with each of other frameworks. However, all the other platforms failed to surprise them except for Flutter, which was found viable in every way from the development to UX point of view. Now let's hear about Toyota's merger with Flutter. So at Toyota, every aspect of the driving experience is being highly taken care of, right down to the on-screen infotainment systems on the dash, while Toyota always followed the process of developing their in-vehicle technology by their in-house development team. This time they were pretty curious about Flutter and wondered how it could help them revamp the user experience for their drivers. So the customers of Toyota always expect the same premium level of performance in their infotainment systems as they do from the driving experience. So it was quite necessary that on-screen experience goes along with the Toyota look and feel. All thanks to Flutter's highly competent rendering engine and features such as AOT compilation, the team felt convinced that they could produce something that felt more like a smartphone app than a standard embedded system. Now the question stands, what makes Flutter ideal for an automotive app? So yes, the very first point is Flutter offers a native app feel in a cross-platform app. So generally the native counterparts are better in terms of usability and performance when compared with cross-platform mobile applications. But when it comes to the apps that are developed using Flutter, they are found quite viable and smooth because the Flutter developers have the skills of developing an application that offers a native-like experience. The best part is that Flutter does not need a JavaScript bridge like in the React Native framework to compile the code, as they do not have to perform the additional step of compiling code with JavaScript. So the process is less time consuming. Regardless of it, it offers a native app-like experience to end users. Then availability of ready to use widgets. So there is no additional fuss about UI design, as Flutter already contains various ready to be used widgets with which the segment of UI does not call for a lot of time to put in, and it can be used directly. So UI UX designers have the flexibility to define these stylistic components of the UI like fonts, menus, forms, colors and the buttons with the help of Flutter widgets. Designers can even improvise these results and form a complex element by blending these widgets. So the widgets are equipped in two styles which are designed in accordance with Android and iOS design guidelines. So yes, like the two types are like, the first is like stateful widgets. So stateful widgets are a kind of widgets whose state can be changed or modified after they are created. The Flutter developer who have much experience can alter the states a couple of times by using different inputs, data, and variables. The second is stateless widgets. So stateless widgets are those widgets that are exactly the opposite of stateful widgets, as the name suggests. So these states cannot be changed or modified once they are created. The Flutter app developers are not able to change any variable or button or retrieve data as soon as the widget is ready. So Flutter also provides the additional advantage of developing custom widgets from scratch for the designers. Then comes cross-platform support. So Flutter was created by Google with the aim of developing cross-platform applications that offer not exact but no less than the native application experience for mobile, web, embedded, and desktop from like a single code base. So while doing cross-platform app development, the key issue is responsiveness. The UI patterns do get changed on different operating systems, but since Flutter uses the SCA rendering engine, the feel of cross-platform application would stick to its originality, whether it's Android, iOS, Mac, or anything else. So yes, another point is hot reload. So this feature of Flutter enables the Flutter developers to add the source code modifications directly into the working application, and with this feature the Flutter app developers do manage to save a lot of time, as they do not have to perform the tedious task of compilation process, which is pretty complex even if you are supposed to do any minor changes. Then comes Google has got Flutter's back. So what do you expect the open source UI software development kit to do? So it's already doing nothing short of brilliant work. So while the credit goes to the tech giant Google, not only does Flutter help developers to develop application conventionally with good speed, but it also breaks the bars for the development of cross-platform applications. And there are a lot of other points like premium quality apps with less testing, the brilliant end user experience with Flutter app, Dart with Flutter, Flutter being the open source, Flutter idle framework for a startup, and so on. So there are a lot of things that Flutter is capable and is known for. So yes, if you really wanna be deep down into this creating the Flutter app for automotive industry, then we have some good points for you to note down. The first is determine your goals, set your objective clearly. So before you actually begin the process of Flutter app development, you need to determine what made you choose Flutter and why you are creating the app with Flutter. Ask yourself few questions regarding the object behind creating the app, and think if this framework seems compatible with your app's objective and niche. And the second is conduct competitive analysis. Learn about your rivals, key strengths, and weaknesses. So before you start developing your Flutter automotive application, remember one thing: you are not the first one to pitch it. There are millions of existing applications in the market out there. To make your application stand out from the others, conducting a competitive analysis is must. The third point is decide on the app's features, like what will drive users to choose your application over others. So when you're deciding on features of your Flutter automatic application, you have got to focus on offering value over your volume. That means instead of providing a long QA for features, you can focus on providing your users with features that bring value to them. And there are other points opt for development path. So will you go for outsourcing or in-house Flutter automotive app development? So deciding on the development path is reasonably necessary, as both outsourcing app development and in-house app development have their own merits and demerits. So but a robust platform is rendered useless if the organization does not have the technological infrastructure that is required for timely and economical development, or if your teams have insufficient time or the skills to get the tasks done. Fifth point is go for beta testing. Learn how users are treating your applications. All that you have done by now seems like a big accomplishment to you, and we are not denying that you have not put in a lot of effort, All we want you to do is to create a mock-up version of your app to know how your audience is interacting with your application. The sixth point is create and test the prototype. Like, does your product match up with the expectations of users and your vision? So when you have reached this stage, your dedicated developers will convert the mockup into a functional and dynamic prototype. This prototype is now all set to undergo a series of tests to validate app functionality and recognize all the significant and trivial issues of your application. The seventh point is stabilize and deploy the app. That's the final stage. So the testing phase could cause you to face minor to major bugs in your app. In such situations, software engineers have to constantly keep on revamping the application till all the present bugs are resolved and user acceptability test results do reflect positive responses. Lastly, I must add here that MindInventory is top-notch web and mobile app development companies that help you with cutting-edge app development services by integrating Google's revolutionary framework, that's Flutter. Our team of experienced Flutter app developers help you develop an automotive app that runs smoothly on all the platforms and takes your business to the next level. We assure you that we will help you get multi-platform applications with seamless animations, gripping UI, and a really amazing performance. So yes, we shall await to work with you as we can't wait to be the part of your next big achievement. So yes, if you want to connect with us, visit www.mindinventory.com right now. Yes, that's it for today. We will see you in the next episode. Till then, keep listening Mindful Talks podcast.